This is your daily market review for Wednesday, March 26, 2025. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and your daily market review for Wednesday, March 26, 2025. Hopefully you're doing well. As we talked about, market was popping, hit some resistance, due to back off. Ding, 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 ding. Nailed it. Now we know going into next week, end of the month, window dressing potential. Now, again, if you're following the channel, you know that we recommend the Stock Traders Almanac, and there's a reason. And not surprised by the choppiness and the pullback today. Will it continue Thursday and Friday? That's the question. I mean, I don't know for certain. I do know that I think there is more upside in the market based on the seasonality going into potentially earnings. Now, no one's saying they know anything for sure, like bull market on or bear market. I think, again, it's a trader's market. Pick your names. I do think there's some names that make more sense than others. But I also, as I've said, like I think semis are going to suck this year. And certain tech is going to suck this year. And that materials and metals and industrials, commodities are going to lead up. My thesis hasn't changed. And look what's underperforming. And look what's holding up. Bottoming, whatever you want to call it. So again, if you're new to the channel, check out the Discord room, link description below. If you'd like to get involved, don't hesitate to join the Discord room, or if you'd like to schedule a Zoom, hit me up. Let's spend 30 minutes, get to know each other. Let me know how I can help, whether you're looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate, looking to trade, looking help to just manage the portfolio. Potentially we can work something out. Again, if you're buying or selling or investing in real estate and you do not hit me up, I take it personal because, again, I think I would love to connect you with a great agent. You get two agents for the price of one. If you're doing something, I'm telling you, it makes a difference. Again, like this is where you get two brains for the price of one. It's not going to cost you anything different. It is what it is. When I say it doesn't cost anything different, it's the same things like Zillow's platform where they hire out an agent. Let me pick your agent for you in your area using my referral network. So, again, follow on the Twitter, posting trades, ideas, and thoughts. Yeah, watching this Tesla one, put some stuff on today. Took some stuff off, put some stuff back on, just managing. Again, if you'd like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you want to hit the thanks button on YouTube or donate, link in description below. Again, take 2 seconds. I'm going to pause for you. Hit the like button, leave a comment. Let me know what your feedback is, and make sure you subscribe. I really appreciate it. You know, we talked about the fear and greed index has been oversold. Refreshing it. Eat fresh, refresh. We're back in this, still in this fear mode. That's why I think it's possible to have a couple weeks. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean that like the market has to make new highs, but chopping back up, and certain names will do better than others and certain names won't. Also, check out the TradeAgent.com. Recommended reading list. Click on the links. Buy on Amazon. Whatever you need to do. Check out the website. There's a lot of great insights around real estate. And again, in trading, turn profits into properties and passive income. That's what we do. That's the goal, guys and gals. All right, see me watch till we know coming into the next meeting. There's not much of a chance of a cut. Still there. Bitcoin, as I've lambasted and said for weeks, I don't trust it. We're in between chop zones. I don't trust it. So your guess is good as mine. Oil holding up pretty well. Again, I said this area around upper mid 60s is pretty solid. We'll see what happens here. Again, at some point we have to refill the SBR. There's going to be some sneaky. Be careful on that. NG, natural gas. I like natural gas, but I wouldn't be surprised if it pulled back either. I like the idea of it pulling back into this 2.5 if we get it. If we don't, what do? Cry over spilled milk? No, can't do that. Just kind of is what it is. So let's get into it. Zedala over the 20-day. Interesting. I don't really care too much, but these gaps in the volatility is making it a little interesting. Just be careful out there. TLT at the extreme range of the lows at the 50-day here. Hasn't closed yet. Again, I'm recording this like a minute or a couple minutes before the close. This one's sneaky. Again, I like bonds, like the idea of rates going lower, but tariffs and all this stuff, it's going to be tricky. I've seen bonds, like this is the hardest thing. Like you see bonds chop out for a long time. Seen it before. So, I mean, yeah, if the trade's not working, this is where sometimes time is required to just make a decision. Meaning like shit ain't working, ain't going anywhere, move on, find other things. Again, I'd like the risk reward here, but no guarantee. VIX, we talked about it. You're welcome. You're very welcome. Talked about the 100, 200 day. Probably going to bounce. You got it. VIX looked like it hit bottomed. You're welcome. This bounce. Now again, well, this stuff, is it typically V bottoms? No. Usually it's chop bottoms. So we'll see what happens here. Again, I wouldn't be surprised again if certain names go up, certain names go down, and the market overall is just choppy until, which I think will maybe probably next week. Who knows? This is interesting. SPY, right? Again, I still think somehow we get up into this 580 plus. Here we go, pulling back on lighter volume. Keep an eye on that. The volume on these big down days was pretty aggressive. Now it's light. Remember, light volume shows low conviction. Do we fill the gap at 564, or is the 8 and 10 day now support? I mean, your guess is as good as mine. We don't know for sure, but this is why we watch the levels. We talked about the hitting the 200 day, backing off. Now we're at the trend line, 8 and 10 day. And SPY did the same thing, got playing with gain here. I'll just show you guys, right? 200 day, chopping around, right? Like here we go, backs up 2%. Not bad. Probably places, again, this is what I'm thinking. If you have to play the game, it's probably, I don't know what's the best way. Here you go. Here's like, we'll have some sort of choppiness. And again, seasonality will matter, right? Going into April. Let's see last April what it looked like. Yeah, there you go. You had choppiness. We'll see. It's different because we were off a pullback, but me personally, watching it, going into earnings, remember, earnings can be sneaky hard because our company's in a kitchen sink the quarter. That's the question you ask yourself. And again, I don't like tech to lead. I like certain tech names to act better than others. IWM, we talked about this being oversold. It definitely feels like it's due for this like game of chopness where it bounces back at some point to the 50-day moving average. And I would be willing to bet it's somewhere around 215. Will it get there in a straight line? Probably not. DIA high, DIA low, right? Oversold, bouncing, watching the 20-day. Good old gold. Again, I like gold long term, but I don't like gold in the second quarter. This is where I'm, again, if there's going to be some, man, look at the volume. It's just pooping out up here. Q2 is typically seasonally weak for metals. If you get some sort of truce within Europe, Ukraine stuff, I don't know. Again, I'm not saying I would go out here and just short it, but I'm also going like, I don't know if I trust it. Like the move, especially gold, has it passed? Right, here we go. Silver chopping around, keep an eye on it. Again, we like these names long term, but I would rather them on discounts. AEM holding up real well. AG plays the game, bounces, chopping around, right? Do you see my point here? I mean, not to say that these can't go higher. I think the risk reward near term. Again, unless you get massive breakout in gold, silver's not really confirming it. Again, it's holding over mid 29s, but I just don't. There's so many better trades out there. Does that make sense? There's just better opportunities, better risk reward. There's better shit if you're willing to trade. It's just my opinion. All right, let's get into tech because this is where the weakness we talked about. Look at Taiwan Semi. Little bounce, retesting the range lows, keeping on it. Micron. This thing has gone nowhere. It's just been chopping around. Post earnings and then gap down. I mean, this is, again, I don't like semis. These charts are big chop zones. And the longer these chop, the more likely that if when it breaks whatever direction, and my guess is going to be down, it's going to be violent. I just don't know if it's going to be until sometime sell in May and go away, or in August. That's my guess. Again, take note of that. Sell in May, go away, or August. AMD gets the bounce, holding the 50-day. I do like this to get up to probably the 100-day. This thing has been just beaten down, but I'm not trading it. New NVIDIA, I talked about this. I don't trust NVIDIA. Here you go. Again, channel high, channel low. I don't know. Could it be a head and shoulders bottom here? Again, I think NVIDIA is not gonna lead. That's the thing. Leadership is a changing. SMCI chopping around. Got nothing on that. Intellectual property. I don't see anything going on with this stock. It's just gonna chop around. Your guess is good as mine. I mean, if it gets bought out, there's not really any premium value. AVGO, we talked about this. NH posted this in the Discord room as well. Needs to hold down here again. Broadcom is losing their, I don't think it was exclusivity with Apple, but if I can't remember right, but whatever. Point being is that Apple is going to make their own wireless chips, so that can't be good for them, right? SMH, again, talked about the semis lagging. Like zoom out. Qs make new highs. Semis, they ain't. They ain't doing it. Got it? Adobe. Talked about this one due to bounce. Looks all right. We'll see here again. I mean, this is the oversold bounce strategy here, but hopefully you're watching the lows. Apple, talked about the 20-day being resistance. Cool. Chop around. Amazon, due to bounce, got the bounce, holding the 200-day. Again, I think this thing could get up to 216. Meta, this one had been down about $100 off the high plus, right? Chopping around. This is where it's going to get really hard for bulls or bears if they're not trading the extremes. Is they're just going to buy and sell, but they're going to do it at the wrong times. CRM bouncing. Guggenheim, again, it should hold here. No guarantee again. Microsoft, another one that seems to have bounced. Okay, does it have to step up in the same direction every day? No. NDAQ, again, I like the short at the 150 day. That makes sense. MicroStrategy, we talked about it bouncing up here. Okay. I don't really see how it gets anywhere going unless Bitcoin starts catching up here. We'll see. Netflix and chill, Netflix and spill, Netflix and hit the resistance zone. This is where it gets a little interesting, right? The volume is kind of late. End of money, end of month, end of quarter. I don't know if they're going to really battle these things down. Roblox, chopping around. PanW, again, I like this long term. I just would like to see lower prices. And again, I'm greedy for the trend line. We'll see. Trend line. Tesla. This is what's getting interesting. You're welcome if you've been trading this. We talked about taking profits of the 200-day. Set my alarm around 270. Said wouldn't be surprised if it bounced around. Here, look at the 10-minute, folks. Talk about bull traps, bear traps. Look at this. Look at that. At the end of the day, here came the buyers. So, again, started reloading TSLA. Sold it in the afternoon yesterday. Sold it in the morning. And then started buying it back today. Closed my covered calls because they didn't actually do as great as I wanted because the implied volatility is so damn high. But once it dropped, I'm like, all right, I'll close them out and then watch what happens here. I think this has got up to 300. This is the thing about some tech versus this stock is down 50 something plus % off the lows. Like everyone knows their deliveries are going to be crapola. But it looks like, I mean, again, whether you like them or not, they're trying to pump what's going to happen. Just keep it on up, meaning like autonomous vehicles, sales are doing well. Seems like people are buying Elon's cars as support. Again, whether you like them or not, I don't care. Palantir, keep an eye on this one, right? This one had a nice bounce. Looks like a little bit of a left-right combo, but I wouldn't be surprised if it chops around. Insight, again, I think this thing gets bought out. Keep an eye on this. If you like this in the 50s, seems good. HIMS, again, I don't really trust HIMS. Long term, again, everybody's bullish on it. I would wait. I mean, if it's such a big move, it's going to consolidate out. I'm waiting for the trend line. If it comes, great. If it doesn't, great. BABA holding up pretty high and tight here, keeping an eye on it. Again, you need to really hold the 130 level. Considering the market was down, it didn't do shit today. McDonald's, is this breaking out again? This is where it gets interesting, right? You had the breakout. You pulled back. Now you're coming back into it. Starbucks was up today again. I mean, a lot of this is what I'm saying. Like the market didn't feel as weak as it really was, if that makes sense. Keeping an eye on this one. This one's oversold. I'd like to short this later. Good old Airbnb Bizzle. Again, we talked about this one's going nowhere fast. Good old coin. This one got the bounce. Not much. I don't know. I guess you just gotta let that one go. DKNG. Watching this one, right? I think this thing gets cooked in time, but it's been crushed, so maybe it chops around. This is where it gets real hard. Maybe it waits around for earnings. Costco, right? This should have been down more today. Seems to be holding up pretty well, down 50 cents. FedEx, rallying. Does that really make sense? Keep an eye on that, right? XLF. Sorry, XLF. XLF, right? Overbought. Don't be surprised if it pulls back. We talked about Hood looking ready for like a pullback. Cool. Fills the gap. I mean, if you want to trade this, I mean, this is acting pretty aggressive. Where is this? Here we go. I'd be watching this level. I mean, you could bounce right from here. JP Mo, again, I got long-term puts on this, closed out half of them and said, all right, we'll watch this area. Look, hit it, dink, bouncing off of it. Morgan Stanley hits it, bouncing off it. Or not bouncing off it, but just overbought, pulls back some. Bank of America, same thing. Goldman Sachs, same kind of thing. Does this make sense? Again, I don't know if you really want to. You have earnings coming. This is where it gets really interesting with these names. Is do you want to short them here or wait? because they might start diverging from the market, if that makes sense. Drop it around 200-day. Keep an eye on that XBI. We talked about this is typically a risk-on name, not really looking that hot. Back at the range lows, but again, selling losers into the end of the quarter. Could you play it off of that? Jets, right? Keep an eye on this, watching like how it handles the 200-day. And last but not least, housing index, just chopping around. All right, let's get into commodities. This is my favorite section. Dow. Watching this one, I got an alarm at 34s. I think this one makes sense at some point. CE, Celanese, again, looks like it's bottom, just waiting for pullbacks. Caterpillar, again, I like this around 330s if it holds. DE's been on fire, so hence it's probably getting new money into the end of the quarter. Nucor, guided, they missed, guided down, or sorry, said this quarter was going to miss, but said the second half of the year looks good. Again, I'd be watching for pullbacks on that one. Letter X, seems like the calls are blowing up. Someone thinks it's getting bought out. Keep an eye on it. In steel, right? I'm watching 26s. VALE, as we talked about, holding up pretty well, but needs to get over the 200-day. Arrow, again, we like junior copper. Pull that sucker back, right? Give me in the mid-12s. FQ, right? Feels like a fake breakout, but I'd love for it to consolidate here. SCCO, again, we talked about the copper names have been doing well. Hits the 200-day, backs off. Again, I like copper names a lot, obviously. FCX, same kind of thing. Hits the 200-day. You see, it's like when you hit these levels, you just got to expect some bounce or some pullback. URNJ, again, I like junior. Definitely love the junior uranium names. But let's just see what happens here. Again, I mean, if you're stepping into these names for the long run, it makes sense too. Tight action, watching 20-day CF. Talked about this yesterday. Looked like it had bottomed out. I hope it comes back. I like this one a lot, right? Mosaic hits the range highs, backs off. Cool. Again, when this breaks this channel, it's going to go. I mean, the volume is at the lows. So somebody's expecting it. It's just how deep are the pullbacks. SQM, same kind of thing. Pulling back a little bit. NTR. Again, these are all names we like. It's just, again, I don't want to chase them. I don't chase. Don't chase. AA, again, don't chase. I like it. Man, I'd love to see around 30 or lower. Kalu, my alarm went off today, hit the or got close enough to the range lows. Again, I like the steel name. MP, this one's been holding up pretty dang well. Chopping around at the range highs. Cliff, again, this one makes sense at some point. I just don't know. Does it need to get back to the 8s? Some of the solar names, again, these look like dogs. But again, I think the best one out there is my friend First Solar. ENPH, I mean, they're just nothing. First Solar has references here, so this is where you got to keep an eye on it. Last but not least, HYG in this sector, or just in general. Again, I think you got to be out of your mind about corporate debt. Oil bounces, gives it up. Okay. And now I'm making new highs. I mean, I wouldn't short this stuff. That's all I can say. Again, I'd be looking for pullbacks. UNG's been pulling straight back. XOP hit the range highs today. Look at this, right? Hits the channel. I mean, got there. This is what's so hard is if you held on for the last like $2 or $3 and maybe the gush gave you another, I don't know, whatever, 50 to 80 cents, like you missed out on some really good trades. So yeah, not that I don't like this stuff in time, but let it pull back. We talked about how the gasoline names typically chop and bottom and top first. That looks like a little toppy to me. MPC, we'll see. Right, long wicks, double, triple top. ExxonMobil, this one's been on fire. So keep an eye on it, but the gap makes it a little scary. Remember, you get gap and traps. BP, again, seems to be chopping around. We nailed the bottom on this one. I feel like long term you should be good. But wait for pullbacks. Occidental, right? Here you go. Talked about it. I'd love to see a pullback. Will I get it? I don't know. I mean, how deep of one? That's the question here, right? I like it for the long term. Keep an eye on it. Devon, this one looks interesting, right? They look like they bottomed. I'm just waiting for some pullbacks. APA, again, bottomed, hit some support, resistance zone. We'll see what happens. Lyondell base, again, another one that I like it down here. I don't know if this, actually, I feel like this is the extreme. All right, you're breaking the range lows, but are we getting, man, this could be, and I've talked about this, end of month, end of quarter dumper. Again, I like LYB, right? Like I would put this on your idea list, right? Oh, where's my idea list? I mean, I have it on here, but I need to like really reinforce it because I think it makes sense down here. Excuse me. Keep an eye on that. EQT, this one's been staging to break out, just hasn't. Keep an eye. I mean, Man, I don't know. That's a tough one. It's chopping around. It's been holding up really well. CVE, again, I like this name long-term on pullbacks. Is the bottom end? It's a good question, right? It feels like it is. Like this is the extreme breakdown. But again, if oil and gas prices fluctuate, you're going to have some fluctuations. And last but not least, Flex LNG, again, I think will be natural gas exporters. All right, I hope you guys are picking up on some of this stuff, trying to stay on top of it. Tomorrow, Friday, those to me are the whole wild cards. I don't know if we'll necessarily get completely crapped out. We know Trump speaks next week, and so will the market rally into that? That's the question. I don't know. Will it stay down into it? I mean, your guess is as good as mine, but this is why you have to manage your trades, do the best you can, and don't shoot for perfection. Just try to be the best you and the best you can with what time you're available to watch the market and how you can trade. All right. Do not hesitate to reach out. Always here to help. Appreciate all the love, support, generous donations. You guys are amazing. Have a wonderful evening. I will talk to you guys and gals soon. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.